topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you ready for Insights to Incite? Ready or not, it's showtime. Now get ready to listen in and watch right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Join us and together we will escape the mundane. Insights to Incite, here is your host, Brandon Lawson.
Hello, how are we doing this Thursday? Coming to you from my home here in Ohio, just about 18-20 minutes from Indiana. And today, I just want to follow through and continue on our series, How Are We to Be, Though? In the initial lesson, the debut of our show last week, I posed the question. I said, have you ever been around a certain person or a specific group of people and felt out of place? Well, I think most of us have, at some point, sometime or another, we've been at a point where we understand the awkwardness or uneasiness involved in such. And in recognizing this, I began our lesson, how are we to be, though? And to look at practical ways that we should go about it. Since, it's not a given that one way is always the way to be, because a lot of it is dictated by who are around or what the setting is. And with that said, today I want to continue and want to speak with you about being people of honor. And, as you think to yourself, oh, you got to step away to commercial, looks like. I apologize.
Wow, that was insightful. Stay tuned as we go on a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Insights to Incite right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Are you seeking a speaker or coach who speaks life into your people? If so, look no further. Brandon Lawson is one who will inspire and motivate his audience, as well as empathize and relate to all. Reach out to Brandon and let him be your speaker and life coach by sending an email to brandon@connectandimpact.net or calling him at 513-520-7597. Brandon looks forward to speaking with you, to you, and for you. Let's connect and impact today. Insights to Incite, a real show with real-life messages. This show, which can be found on radio, TV, and our podcast, gives us insight to incite us to action and to excellence. Watch and or listen to Insights to Incite live at noon Eastern Time every Thursday on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Check out our past episodes on iHeartRadio, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. Join us each week, and together we will escape the mundane. We are back with more Insights to Incite, so get ready and tune in to listen and watch. Now once again, let's join Brandon Lawson.
Apologize for that. It seemed to be a technical difficulty and with the audio. But as I was mentioning, we're going to continue in this series, How Are We to Be, though? And lesson 2 is about being people of honor. And as we think of this, if you look at your own life, I'm sure you can identify some people who you would recognize as being people of honor. And what is it that you notice about them? Have you taken time to ever really try to grasp what it is about them? Or have you saw things about their life and more their routine or what they do that's consistent across the, is something that is not just something they do here and there, but is consistently, it's something that is an identifying mark of that individual. So, don't know if you have or not, but I want to share some things that I have noticed. And as we consider this, people of honor, what goes into it, or what is certain identifying marks of those people. Well, before I get into characteristics or the identifying marks, I would say that, I don't know about you, but myself, I am one that I like to institute new things that I came up with. There's something about when something is good and it wasn't passed down, you didn't learn it from another, but something you came up with. There's a sense of fulfillment and such. And I know, for instance, me, I mean, these seem totally trivial to the lesson, which in some respects are, but here's some for instances. And that would be with myself, like when it comes to the trash, if there's something I get, thinking usually it's something from the mail, a postcard flyer or something, I don't put it straight to the trash and where the rest of the stuff typically goes. I actually stick it in an empty cracker box or cereal box. And once that's packed, then I will put it out, put the box to the trash. But why is it that I don't just drop it straight to the trash? The reason is the sharp corners of postcards and things like that can slice the bag, and then I could have a real mess on my hands or on the floor. And so not wanting to create a mess and stuff or send out a welcome to uninvited guests, if you catch my drift there. But I will put them in cereal box or a cracker box and then put to the trash. And there's also, if I'm eating like a fruit and I got peelings or core or seeds, I generally put them in a empty jug that's, I've already drank the juice or the milk or what have you, and I seal the lid. That way no smell goes out. And again, for the very same purpose, is I don't want to invite, gnats, or worse yet, roaches or something, So there's certain ways I go about doing stuff. And, I, do that just for the, it seems to work well. I don't have issues with that stuff. And there's also something I do with my dress shirts. I always take them to the dry cleaners to be done. When they come back, then there's a certain protocol or thing I go through to make sure that when I get ready to put my dress shirt on, it's fresh, clean, crisp, and I can look sharp. And with that said, there's also, there's also something I used to do, and I stopped, but on my daily agenda, I would put to know or to be. And the to know was more in lines of two things that I would abstain from. It could be something like internet, could be sweets, but just something that I would purposely, try to make it a point not to give myself to. And the to be was things that I already knew I should be, but it was a matter of being intentional and to give in focus, to deliberate focus to, look to be these two things, whether it's being kind and gentle, giving a kind word to others, making a point to smile more. It could be, being thoughtful and showing it in tangible ways. But these were things that I did. And it was, and so in light of that, as we think of this, how are we to be? Well, there's four characteristics that I've seen that generally epitomize the life of a person of honor. And within those, you can find that they, do these four. The first characteristic is they continue to choose and do the right thing. Yes. Now, if you watch them, you understand that, their life is about choosing and doing what's right. And that can be in spite of. I mean, they understand that what is good and what feels good often oppose one another. And so they choose the latter. They choose to do what is good, even when they don't feel like it. And, that could be, when I say choose to do, well, it could be that the choice that they make is not doing. For instance, you have an opportunity to get even. And here, here's your opportunity, and what's been done to you was wrong. So, the idea of getting back, well, they're in for it. But even so, that you shouldn't. In your heart that that's not really the route to go. And so, as a result, you choose in this case not to do, which is the right thing. So it's not always a matter of doing or taking action or always speaking up. Sometimes it might be biting your tongue, holding your tongue, not speaking. But these people, they choose to do the right thing. And have you yourself think of times when that whatever know in a certain situation, you if you did something, it wasn't like it was unprompted. There was something that that you had every right in some sense, or maybe saying you had the right isn't quite the way of putting it, but this was something that after what was done to you, it would be pretty much understandable if you did something back, but you didn't. Can you think back to a time and perhaps ask yourself, you know, ask, in those moments when you decided not to, or maybe you decided to do, but you took the high road, you chose to do what's right. What was it? Why did you not let your natural impulse take over? Why didn't you let your flesh rise up and have dominion and be the master of the situation? That would be the times when we retaliate or we do something that's uh, not really the right thing, but it was some respects deserved. But you didn't. What kept you? Was there certain consequences that 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 choice would have brought against you? Something bad that would have happened as a result of, or perhaps it was the fact that something good, your reward, would have been taken away. Is that you, or maybe it was something altogether different? It could be that you decided not to because there's a greater purpose. There's a higher purpose, a greater honor that you serve. Is that you? Have you been in such a instance? Has there been something more that you're mindful of that sort of kept you in check? Well, there was a man named David who spent much of his early years, running and hiding, running for his life and hiding, literally hiding out in a cave, or not just one cave. There are various caves that he went into to, hide from the enemy that was out to kill him, to take his life. And David, there was a more than once where he had an opportunity to do his enemy in, yet he chose not to. This David can be found in much of the history books of the Old Testament, primarily in the books that there are two of, whether it be First, Second Samuel, First, Second Kings, First, Second Chronicles, and you can also find him in the Psalms, and occasionally you may even see mention of him in the Gospels or in the Book of Acts. They speak of him, but David, he had opportunity to do Saul in, or Saul had been pursuing him, really for no legit reason. A lot of it was this jealousy of David because David was esteemed by the people. I'm going to share with you from First Samuel. We're going to be looking at chapter 24, and we will start in verse 3 if you want to follow along. It says here, when Saul came to the sheep pens along the road, a cave was there, and he went in to relieve himself. David and his men were staying in the back of the cave. So they said to him, that is, Saul's men said to Saul, look, this is the day the Lord told you about. I will hand your enemy over to you, so you can do to him whatever you desire. Then David got up, or my apologies, that was David's men speaking to him. Look, this is the day the Lord told you about. I will hand your enemy over to you, so you can do to him whatever you desire. Then David got up and secretly cut off the corner of Saul's robe. Afterward, David's conscience bothered him because he had cut off the corner of Saul's robe. He said to his men, I swear before the Lord, I would never do such a thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed. I will never lift my hand against him, since he is the Lord's anointed. With these words, David persuaded his men, and he did not let them rise up against Saul. Then Saul left the cave and went on his way. After that, David got up, went out of the cave, and called to Saul, My Lord, the king. When Saul looked behind him, David bowed to the ground in homage. David said to Saul, Why do you listen to the words of the people who say, Look, David intends to harm you? You can see with your own eyes that the Lord handed you over to me today in the cave. Someone advised me to kill you, but I took pity on you and said, I won't lift my hand against my Lord, since he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, look at the corner of your robe in my hand, for I cut it off, but I didn't kill you. Look and recognize that there is no evil or rebellion in me. I haven't sinned against you, even though you are hunting me down to take my life. May the Lord judge between you and me, and may the Lord take vengeance on you for me, but my hand will never be against you. As the old proverb says, wickedness comes from wicked people. My hand will never be against you. As we see there, David, had the opportunity to take Saul's life, yet he chose to do what was right, because David recognized who it is he serves, where his honor goes, where it should go, and he chose to put it there. David knew that the very one whom he is called to honor and that he must give an account to is the same one who put Saul in that place to be the king of Israel at that point. So the first characteristic we recognize in people of honor and lives of honor is they continue to choose and to do what's right. They deny their flesh. They refuse to allow their natural impulse to rise up, to come out. They instead are master over the flesh, instead of allowing the flesh to reign and be the master. But you might be saying, don't I have the right to avenge myself? I mean, I was the one who was done wrong to begin with. Well, from a human standpoint, we might say yes. But from the throne of heaven, the answer is no. And if we did choose to defend ourselves, well, we might be acquitted by the court of law and maybe even by God himself. Yet it does tell us in multiple listings throughout the scripture that we are to leave the revenge to the avenger, the one who is the law and judge, the lawgiver and the judge. We're to allow him to avenge us and not take matters in our own hands. And, the fact of the matter is, when we do, take matters in our own hands, rarely is it that the way we would carry out such punishment against our, against the one who done us wrong, rarely is the way we would carry it out the best way or the right way. It may go overboard, or actually we might, in trying not to go overboard, what we did we're so lenient we get laughed at. It ends up insulting us more. And plus, say we took revenge and avenged ourselves, and from that point we get caught, but our enemy never did. Now what? Who won then? Or even if we didn't get caught, are we really any better off now that we've served punishment to someone else, to that person who harmed us? The second characteristic we will look at as we consider them who epitomize a life of honor is these people recognize that delayed gratification is often better than anything that the immediate would offer them. In fact, immediate gratification is not even on their radar. And that's quite a contrast to the world we live in and how we see people. I mean, so much of life is bent on, I want it and I want it now. I mean, that's the culture we live in, at least over here in the Western civilization in the United States. You go to third world countries or stuff like that, you might find it quite different. But you can be here in the U.S. or be in a nation, a province where you have much better than third world countries and still choose to delay gratification. Choose to be different. Don't it doesn't have to be that your circumstances make it to where you have to be different. You can personally take it upon yourself to choose to be different. And these people, they recognize that whatever it is that the immediate could offer them is very small in proportion to what could come if they delay the gratification. Plus, delaying gratification, it gives them a greater peace, because if you were to look for immediate and that, well, you may not even get it. And if you get enough of that, which would likely happen, rarely do we get immediate payback or immediate. Rarely does we get what we deserve instantly. As a result, since we wouldn't get it many times, we would be setting ourselves up for discouragement. And discouragement, especially if it happens over and over and over, we strike out left and right, that can lead to bitterness, resentment. And is that doing us any good? Of course not. So those folks recognize that. And thus they choose to delay, the whatever it is they get as a recompense, their compensation. And when I say compensation, I'm not talking about monetary gain. I just mean whatever it is they would get to make amends, to make up for what they suffered by the hands of someone else. So, you might say, well, I don't want to wait. I mean, I shouldn't have to. This is something that should never have happened in the first place. Well, you have a valid point, but the situation is, or maybe the question you need to ask is, what is most important? That I get some kind of compensation, some kind of I'm indemnified immediately, or what it is that comes to me for waiting, if I do wait. I mean, what is it that's more important to you? So the second characteristic of them whose lives epitomize a person of honor is immediate gratification is not even on their radar. They delay gratification. They delay that indemnification that would come to them. They're willing to delay, recognizing that something better often will result if they wait compared to looking for an immediate. The third thing you find with people whose lives epitomize a person of honor is they are very disciplined, to put it simply. These people, their you know, their lives are such that they wouldn't know how to go from day to day without being people of discipline. They are one that it's in the very fabric of their being. It's been weaved into the very person. It's not something they merely do, but instead it is something. It describes who they are. So these people, you know, discipline is so real and natural that it's not even something they have to give thought to. It just flows from the inner person. You know, everything they do is starts out the everything they do in regards to this discipline starts from the inner being and just naturally flows out, just like something we do day to day as our routine, a natural part of our personality. So discipline is indeed a defining attribute of those who live a life of honor. But why would I make such a claim? Or how do I come to that conclusion? Well, it's simple. If you think of a life of honor, people who are such, they don't just live that way. They don't just do things right or choose the right thing on occasion. It's not something that they're just like that here and there when they're at a specific venue, or when they're around a specific group of people and they're amongst a certain crowd. No. In fact, if you think of ones like sometimes you see of people who they're one way at church service. When they're in church, they're on their best behavior. Then if you saw them during the week and they were totally contrary, almost a 180 to that, we wouldn't esteem them as people of honor. We have other names to describe those people. And it certainly does not coincide, or nor is it synonymous with a person of honor. So, the idea of being a person of honor is that you are that way, but that you do it consistently. And that's where the discipline comes in. And, people, we are ones that, the way we are esteemed by others is not being good here and then caring less other times and good again later. What gives us appreciation for such people, or where we are often esteemed, if we're the one who's esteemed, the where we will receive such honor from people is through the consistency of it, because it takes time. It takes time. You don't consider someone a person of great honor whom you haven't even seen or been around or heard of much. But when you see that there's a constancy of doing what's right, of taking the high road, of not allowing the flesh to come out. Those are the people. When you see the constancy over a stretch of time, because that's what it takes. Is it needs to be something that's consistent, and it goes on and on and on, day after day, week after week, month after month, for the long haul. That's when we recognize those people as people of honor. So, are you saying, I already have so much going on? Now, so much I'm responsible for to do. Now you're telling me I need to be more disciplined? I mean, well, I'm not telling you have to be. That's your choice. But you want to live a life of honor? Yes, you should. I should. But before you think of this, being more disciplined as another weight that you're called to bear, maybe what you need to see and recognize in this is, something that, that this is not meant to be another burden. First of all, ask yourself, what is it? What is there of any great worth or real worth that you can accomplish without discipline? Did you hear that? Let me repeat that again. What is it that you or what is it that we can accomplish that's of any real great worth without exercising sound discipline? Answer that. Seriously, take that in. Answer it, not for me, but answer it for yourself. The answer is either nothing at all or next to nothing. Discipline is a necessity for being, people of honor, for accomplishing things, for achieving good things, for having a desired outcome as we hope it to be, for the better, for good. I like the way the late Jim Rohn put it. Jim Rohn said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. Without the bridge, well, we couldn't cross over. We can have goals. We can set all these goals and, say we want to do such and such. Oh, it is our goal to do this, to become this. But without that discipline within us, we will never have that bridge to cross over from where we are to where we want to be. Or you take a look at what the Dutch priest Henry Nouwen stated. Henry Nouwen said, discipline is the other side of discipleship. If you're discipling someone, you're leading someone, we know that leadership is no good if it's all talk, yet your life doesn't back it. And discipline allows you to back, it allows your words to have substance, to carry weight. If someone, teaches from the standpoint of do what I say, not as I do, we don't have any respect for those people. Living your life, that your life matches what you proclaim, what you teach, that is what gives you honor. And discipline is what allows you to do that, to be a good leader and to disciple others, to gain followers, to earn their trust, to have influence with them. Not from the standpoint of they have to follow you if it's like a work or something, but to where they choose to follow you. Discipline allows for that. And Henry Nouwen, when he stated about discipline is the other side of discipleship, he went on to say that discipleship without discipline is like running a marathon, yet you never, is like, you're going to run a marathon without first practicing. Well, you can see, you can hope, wish, try, pray feverishly for a desired outcome. But whatever it is your pursuit might be, chances are you will come up empty if you do not have discipline. So the third characteristic of people who epitomize a life of honor is that discipline is a way of life. It's ingrained within them. It's so real and so natural to them that honestly, they don't know how to go from day to day without it. Now, fourth, this one, you may not see how this could be, or how this fits in with, maybe you see how a lot of people are, but you don't really see it as an identifying characteristic of people. But the fact of the matter is, I've seen that more often than not, people of honor are established in the faith. Yes, they are established in the faith. They belong to and are grounded in something that, you know, it's outside of themselves and of something that's of a greater power. That's really, it's not of this earth. It's, you know, it it's of a greater power, and typically speaking, you'll see that it involves a community of people. And this characteristic, it's that something that's of a greater power that's not of this earth. It almost seems like it's somewhat mystical, like something of a, that's mystical of sorts. Yet it's typically defined in, you know, a form of religion or a type of faith that, that they're, established in. And the key word there is established. We're not talking about them who, show up here and there, or, they at times will, be devoted or show that they're in with it, and then other times not. Because we cannot flip flop back and forth, for people of honor. We need to be, as we talked about, consistent. And so these are people who are established in the faith. They're devoted to a faith and are an integral part of a community. And that's many times where they learn the practice of discipline. There's certain practices, or some might call them rituals or customs, that they do, whether it be daily or maybe it's every week in service, something that they do, every week. It becomes ingrained within them. It's habitual. It's who they are. And with that said, you'll see that these people are, people of faith. And, that's, if you think of people of honor, if someone is, if people see that you're here today, then gone tomorrow, or your consistency is not there. They don't know to expect you. Will you be here this week, or be here today? Or are you going to be gone? Or will you have it all together? Will you fall off the rails? They don't know what's going to happen. If they can't really become comfortable in knowing, being able to expect, a consistency of who you are, of who Brandon is. Well, then what happens is they stop expecting anything. They lose respect for you, and they definitely don't look at you and say, there's a person of honor. No, it's quite the opposite. In fact, these people, of the faith, they learn, to be disciplined. They learn what it is, and it's easier for them, just like anyone else. It's easier over time. Think of when you go back to your childhood, when you first started riding a bike. You started to fall to the left, the right. You might skin your knee up sometimes. But now you just jump on the bike and go. You don't even think of it. You just do it. It just comes natural. You just go about it. That's the way people of honor are when it comes to discipline. And that's often rooted in their life of faith. So, are you objecting, saying, I don't see how that life of faith even comes into play, or why do you say that? How does it really matter? Well, you may not think it does, but actually, I believe it does. And actually, I believe it does to a large extent. In fact, think about that. What, when it comes to establishing yourself in a disciplined life, what better way is there? What is more? What is a better way to become disciplined, and how? What could you involve yourself in that's of a wholesome nature, that's not giving yourself to indulge in a life that you regret? What else is there? What is there that's better than, learning about him and drenching your soul in him, and having not only a deeper understanding of him, of the Father above, but also, you know, truly being united with him, to where it's not just I know about the Father, I know about the Son, I know about the Holy Spirit, but it's where you are united together with them. That's again where it's a part of you. It's not something you do, it's who you are. And many times, if we only see those people that we would recognize as people of honor, if we only see them here and there and don't know all that much about them, we may not even know that they are people of faith. But nonetheless, many of them are. Just they, lead a life that's their leadership, you might say, is in many respects a quiet leadership, that much of it is by example. It's like it's been said about, about sharing the word, talks about living your life, consistently living a life of honor, and if necessary, speak words. And it will be necessary at times, but it more than the words we speak is the consistency in the life we live that will gain us honor, that will cause us to esteem others as people of honor. Is the life they live. Consistency is key. So those are the 4 characteristics of people who are people of honor. First is they continue to choose and do the right thing. They don't let their flesh rise up. They instead are master over their flesh instead of allowing their flesh to be their master. And second, they don't even think about immediate gratification. Delayed gratification is what they would choose. They recognize there's often better results that can and will come from such, compared to looking for an instant, payoff. Third, these are people of discipline. Discipline is a way of life. It's so real and so natural to them that they wouldn't know how to go from day to day without it. Then fourth, more often than not, people who live lives of honor are people who are established in the faith. And I say established because that is key. It isn't just that you've been a part of a congregation or you've been part of a faith, but you're not really active or you're not really devoted to. These are people who are devoted. They are established in the faith. Because the fact of the matter is, you cannot be a person of honor without it. And also, that devotion is key. You cannot be established in anything without first being devoted to whatever it is. And if we practice, we make a point of implementing those 4 characteristics in our lives, we too will grow and become people of honor. We will become people of honor. And that will increase not only the peace we have knowing that we live such a life, but we'll also be better leaders, better citizens all the way around. And in those 4 characteristics, you'll notice there's the 4 D's. That first one, has to do with doing. Yeah, it has to do with choosing as well, but you can choose to do what's right and never do it. You can decide, make the choice within, but never follow through and carry it out. So doing is key. The second one has to do with delaying. They delay gratification. They don't look for that immediate, recompense, that immediate indemnification. Instead, they choose to delay. Third has to do with discipline. These are people of discipline. And fourth, these are people of the faith. Many times they are established in the faith and they belong to something that is outside of themselves, that's of a greater power. You would say that's not of this earth. You would say they are people who belong to a deity. There you have it. Doing, delaying, discipline, and deity. The 4 Ds found in this. We're going to step away real quickly for a commercial, and I'll be right back to wrap today's show up.
Wow, that was insightful. Stay tuned as we go on a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Insights to Incite right here on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. Are you seeking a speaker or coach who speaks life into your people? If so, look no further. Brandon Lawson is one who will inspire and motivate his audience, as well as empathize and relate to all. Reach out to Brandon and let him be your speaker and life coach by sending an email to brandon@connectandimpact.net or calling him at 513-520-7597. Brandon looks forward to speaking with you, to you, and for you. Let's connect and impact today. Insights to Incite, a real show with real-life messages. This show, which can be found on radio, TV, and our podcast, gives us insight to incite us to action and to excellence. Watch and or listen to Insights to Incite live at noon Eastern Time every Thursday on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. Check out our past episodes on iHeartRadio, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. Join us each week, and together we will escape the mundane. We are back with more Insights to Incite, so get ready and tune in to listen and watch. Now, once again, let's join Brandon Lawson.
So we're coming to the end of our time here today, and we spoke of being people of honor, and here at Insights to Incite, we are ones who, we desire you have something concrete that you are able to get from this. That's the idea behind the title of our show. We're not just here to give insights, but they're insights to incite you. So what are 2 concrete, actions that you'll take or things you'll do? What is it that, you will do based on what we've talked about today? What is it that you'll utilize or do to live and to produce a better life, to be a better influence, to be a better citizen, a better son, daughter, father, mother, a better sibling, a better friend? What is it that you will take with you from today's show? Now, are there certain routines that you can implement to develop the discipline? Put reminders up somewhere? Maybe it's on the screen of your phone, a sticker on a mirror to remind you to be master over your flesh, not allow your flesh to reign, to where you would choose to do and actually do the right thing, where you would delay, the gratification, not look for an immediate quick fix, that you will not be demanding, but that you will be patient and allow things to play themselves out, or, to remind you to be disciplined, or to grow, to become a person of the faith. We'd love to hear from you, for you to share with us what it is that you are doing, or, maybe it's down the road in a month or so, or a couple weeks, or however long you have been doing this for a while and you've seen the results, how it's helped you to be a better person, to live a better life. We'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to, always hearing from you, sharing with you, and receiving your feedback. We're getting ready to close now, and we want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll join us next Thursday and every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern here on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV for another episode, another message from Brandon Lawson with Insights to Incite. Thank you, friends.
Wow, what an insightful show. Thanks for listening in and watching today. If you missed any part of today's show or any other episode, check it out on iHeartRadio, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. Now take today's insight and utilize it. Incite yourself to action and to excellence in the week ahead, and join us again next Thursday and every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time for another insightful session with Brandon Lawson as he speaks to us and shares some more insights to incite right here on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV.